Alright, in this video we will look at system of linear inequalities. Okay, so solution to linear inequalities. So you know that whenever you're graphing linear inequalities, you'll have a shaded part which represents your solution. So the first one, it says which inequality best represents the graph shown. So I mean, you have an equation, you have graphs, so we're just going to graph them and check them in Desmos. Okay, so we know that we're looking for this graph, so when we have 4 different inequalities to look at, so we'll just graph each one and then find it. So it looks like this one is getting shaded below, it looks, and this one I wanted to shade it above. So it's not that one, so maybe I'll try one that's greater than or equal to, and looks like that's it. So it's going through 2 here, yep, and then it's between 0 and 1, yep, right there, and then also it's a solid line, so I have a solid line here. If I take off the equal to symbol, then I'll get a dotted line, so that's where the solid and dotted comes from. But anyway, that's what that is. So pretty easy indeed. It says here, which of the following is the correct solution to the system here? So we're just going to graph it. In Desmos, it's going to shade a lot of things, so but we want to be careful. We want to see the ones where they get overlapped, double shaded. Okay, so you have y less than or equal to 2x for the first one, and then you have y greater than or equal to -4. So let's see what we have here. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and then let me show you again once that I'm zoomed out. So here's the first one in the blue, and here's the second one in the green, but we only want where it's overlapped, this region right here. Looks like it's from -2 to 4 right there, and it's gonna be A, yeah. Okay, so this is the part I'm looking for. What is the graph of the inequality? We're just gonna graph it. I know looking ahead that it's gonna have a dotted line because this does not have an equal to, so it's gotta be C or D, and also it says that y is greater than, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be C, but let's make sure by putting it in Desmos. So you have y greater than -1/4, x plus 2, and yep, there it is, C. Okay. Alright, which point is a solution to the system of linear inequalities? So basically, we're going to graph it. We know what the solutions are going to look like. It's going to be where it's double shaded. So graph the first one, graph the second one, and then we want to look for solutions that are on this part right here. I do want to let you know that the solution is only in the double shaded area right here, and also on the solid line here, not on the dotted line. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take each of our solutions. I'm going to graph each point, 6, 0. Now yes, this is a solution because you see it's in this shaded, double shaded part, so that is my answer, but I want to show you how the rest of them are not solutions. Okay, so here's the second one. You see how the green dot is on a dotted line? If it's on a dotted line, it is not a solution. The next one, 0, -4. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. So even though it's on a solid line, but it's in this region where it's not double shaded, so that's why that is not a solution. And then the last one, 0, -6 is over here. It's not in the double shaded, so that's not a solution either. Okay. All right. For which system of equation is -3,1 a solution? So we're gonna have a lot to graph here, but that's okay because it's going to help us to find our answer. Let me go ahead and graph the solution first, so I know where I'm supposed to look for the solution. Right here, negative 3, 1. So there's my solution. It has to be double shaded or double shaded plus a solid line, okay? So let me graph answer choice A. And then, well, that's already not going to be it because it's already on a dotted line. So anytime it's on a dotted line, it's not going to work. So even answer choice B has that right there, so it's not going to work, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and move on to answer choice C, where it's x plus y less than or equal to. So now it turns solid. So far that's okay. Now let me graph the second graph. And then find our answer, negative 9. Is it this one, right? Okay, so yes, this is it, because look, it's on 2 solid lines. It's right there. So it's a solution that is anywhere in this region, plus if it's 2 solid lines, it's that point right there. So that works. Let's see. Let me show you why I feel like this one should also work, but let me see what happens when I change it to greater than or equal to. Well, that also works. I don't know. Both of them are going to end up being true. So maybe that's a mistake on my part, but they both do work for this particular example. Okay? All right. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go ahead and change this question. I'm going to take off the equal to sign and just make it like either greater than. Oh, why won't it do that? Okay. All right, so one is not shaded. Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next one. So this should not have the shaded too. I'll take this one off. And then we're just going to change this one just to say greater than. Okay. There you go. All right. So it says here, using, that's spelled wrong. Using the inequalities shown, create a system of linear inequalities that could be represented by this graph. Okay. So for this one, it's going to take a bit of graphing to figure out what inequalities I want to use so that everything matches up with this graph here. Okay, so the first one, what I really want to do here is I want to just first graph these 2 lines so I know which graph is which. Okay, so I'm going to use equal to sign, because even though I have to put an inequality on here, I'm just going to start off by just looking at just the line itself. So equal to 1/2 x and then plus 2. Okay, so look, here's this line. So this line that I see here is this line in the purple. And notice in my graph, it's a solid line, so it's going to have to be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. I'm going to say greater than because it's being shaded above that line, right? So I'm going to say greater than or equal to, so that's my first inequality. And then the second one is going to be the other line, right? So 2x plus 5 is equal to y. So that's this line right here. And it's a dotted line, so I'm going to have to change the inequality to either less than or greater than. Well, when I put less than, it got shaded above, but I want it to be shaded here, so I'm going to change that to greater than. So there you go. That's my answer that I have here. Okay? So this is going to be greater than or equal to. And then the other one that matched in Desmos was also greater than. Okay? So there you go. All right. Directions. Select the number that represents a region of the graph you want to select. Zach began graphing the system of linear inequalities. To complete the graph, Zach must shade the region. So basically, we want to see which is the solution set. So we can do that using Desmos. So I'm just going to graph it just the way it is. And yeah, I don't know what I was going to say. Anyway, that's that. And then this one, you have 5x plus 6y is less than or equal to negative 30. All right, so when I look at this graph, I know that it's going to be this shaded region right here. So region 2 is what needs to be shaded. You don't have to shade it, it's just, I just have to pick 2, but you know, it's actually kind of fun shading. All right, anyway, yeah, I think that's the end of this video. Thanks, guys.